caught my attention. People are dying for Ozempic. This is the big effective weight loss drug. Diabetics need it, but tons of Americans are taking it just to lose weight, which is probably good for their health, although the long-term consequences are not known. But it's extremely popular. It's also extremely expensive, like $1,000 a month. So people are getting it from Canada and Mexico down to like $300 a month, just like many other drugs. So that's the curious American system. You can often get much, much cheaper drugs from overseas. It's just marked up by a huge amount here. Anyway, so we'll see. Many, many people are taking it, and this is predicted to be the most valuable drug in the world, even more valuable than the COVID vaccine. The drug companies that make it expect incredible amounts of money to come out of it over the next few years because like 80% of Americans are overweight, and they probably all could benefit from taking this, and probably they're all going to be told to take this for the next few years. And once you start, you have to keep taking it forever. You ever stop, you just gain the weight back. So, but even at, I think, $1,000 a month, I think it would still be cost effective considering the cost of being overweight. Anyway, we'll see.
Not if you're going to die from it.
That's right. Well, that's right. That's the point. I mean, all the diseases you get from being overweight.
Right.
Anyway. Yep. Well, anyway, as the current situation in many of the red states is the states have passed ruthless anti-abortion laws with very unclear medical exceptions, and now this one town in Idaho has ended all baby care, all child care, because the way it is now, the state laws illegalize many forms of treatment, and the federal guidelines for proper amount care require them. So you're either breaking state law or you're breaking federal law no matter what you do. So it is too dangerous for a doctor to continue operating in that state. And they're leaving. And they're no longer performing any kind of child medicine at their hospital. This is rather like when California legalized weed, but it's still a federal crime. When the states and the feds get out of sync, you can be in a position where you can't figure out what to do.
They better raising up the welfare funding.
What about welfare?
Better raise the welfare funding for all the extra babies.
Well, yes, that's true. Well, if there is, in fact, a lot of extra babies, that remains to be seen, yes. Probably there will be some extra babies. What there probably will be is a lot more prenatal death. America have been, my entire lifetime, America has been towards the bottom in saving the life of mothers. We've had bad medical care for mothers all along because of this and many other issues, and it doesn't look like we're going to be getting any better anytime soon. So Ben & Jerry's is the top donor of a group campaigning against U.S. military support for Ukraine from the left. He's not a right-winger, he's a left-winger, and he thinks they should not have war and bombs and guns. They should negotiate a peace. The far right and the far left can reach the same point on this issue as many other things. Anyway, it's a thing to know. Musk, in all of his maturity, has now set all press replies to automatically reply with a poop emoji. So he's killed the press contacts. It's amazing this guy can be the CEO of a major company and act so unprofessionally, but so he does. In a proper corporation, there's supposed to be a board of directors, and the board of directors is supposed to restrain the CEO and say, you can't do things that lower the value of our company, but nobody can say no to Musk. He's basically a dictator.
He's gone rogue.
Well, he's very much like Trump. Yeah, nobody dares question him. Anyway, so Microsoft has Power Platform Copilot, which will do coding for you, and they say it's very good. So they say you won't have to write any code anymore. It'll write code for you, and we will see how well that works out. But a lot of people say even the previous versions of these AI tools can do that. So that'll be the wave of the future. This is pretty amazing. There's a tool to redact images, and I think it is the default Apple tool or something. I can't remember which tool it is they use, but there's a tool that has a redaction function. It removed part of an image, but it turned out that what it did was remove part of the compressed image, not decompress it, remove it, and recompress it. It actually removed part of the compressed image. And compression algorithms work by finding parts of the code that are repeated and making like a dictionary for those parts. So the header for the partial decompressed image does contain some information about the part that's been removed. And he was able to write an algorithm and reconstruct part of the pieces of image that have supposedly been removed. This is a fairly common problem, that people redact things and try to post redacted files, and there are ways to recover the original data. One of the most common ones were PDF files, government contracts and stuff. When they would try to redact them, they would just put a black blob over part of it, but you can still get the text behind the black blob. But instead, anyway, it's an interesting new feature, new problem with this redaction tool, but I can't remember is which operating system and tool it was. Some default tool in some operating system, either the Mac or PC, has this problem. And unfortunately, I've got the technical article here instead of the fluffy article that just dives into all the technical junk and doesn't tell you the important stuff, the executive level stuff like what is the risk. I have to find the fluffier article or dig through this. Anyway, Bitwarden is an antivirus product, and it has a PIN you put in, and it locks you out after 10 guesses, but it's only a 4-digit PIN. But they say there is a way to test it without going through their software, and then you can try as many guesses as you want, and therefore you can obviously brute forcibly. So that's a limitation of that product, and supposedly I think it has been patched. So many people are very upset about the mental health of our youth. Many studies show that they, especially young girls, are much more unhappy than they used to be, doing much more self-harm and suicide attempts. And nobody really knows why, but many people blame social networking. They say this really took off in 2012 when they all started using their phones and going on Snapchat and comparing their lives and how pretty they are with these impossibly pretty pictures of other people and feeling really inferior and rotten about their life as a result, which may be true. So schools are now suing them over this. We'll see what comes of it. This is a lot like the early lawsuits against pollution and smoking. The issue is, can you really prove that this is what caused the problem? And I guess we're going to see if they can convince a jury that the evidence is strong enough yet. So San Francisco is now trying to approve facial recognition again. We've had it several times and had it blocked several times. And so there's a new, Phil Ting wants to pass a bill which legislates the authority of police to build and deploy powerful mass surveillance systems, so the ACLU is trying to stop them. This is a big issue. A lot of people want to have cameras everywhere, and they want to have facial recognition everywhere. And yet, what's that?
I thought the airport is already using it.
Yes, I think the airport is already using it. Yeah, and the airport's not under the control of the San Francisco government.
So the companies are correct, they have to use it.
There are companies, there are people using it, and there's
But I
other.
think the communists,
The communists are correct.
yeah, they use it in Xinjiang, right?
Yes, yes, I think China uses it everywhere.
They're correct.
Well, I don't know if they're correct or not. The point is, it has flaws. And the thing that particularly stops it in California is it's racially limited. It's more likely to make mistakes on black faces because they don't train it on black faces. So the racial discrimination is what makes it highly illegal in California. But a lot of people, like Microsoft, quit doing it years ago. They quit developing it. They said, this is too dangerous. It's going to get us in too much legal trouble. But a lot of police like it because they feel like it can catch criminals with it, although they frequently catch the wrong guy. So on it goes. And there's a good article here, which I found quite interesting, about this guy who may be the one that's going to take over from Putin, who's probably much worse than Putin. And this is the thing. People think you depose a dictator, you make the world better. Not necessarily. You might just put in somebody worse. Anyway, I'm going to leave a few minutes. I'll be back. I've got to take a break before the lecture. I'm going to stop the recording.